All right. Welcome to our workshop on utilizing AI in the job search. My name is Marie Armstrong. I'll be co-presenting with Amanda Muehlners. We are career counselors at Avivo. So we're going to go over the benefits of using artificial intelligence and then give some examples on how to use it. Go to the next slide. Okay, on our agenda, we're going to have a little introduction. We're going to talk about what is AI, why to use it in the job search, examples of AI sites that will help you in the job search, and how to use it, and then some tips and tricks. So let's start with an icebreaker. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourselves to answer any of these questions or throw it in the chat. First question, what's the first thought that comes to your mind when you hear the word AI? Or what is one interesting thing about yourself? And what do you hope to get from this work?
The first thing about AI, it struck me this past weekend when I saw Megan 2.0 at the theaters. And it's an amazing thought about futures and neurotechnology as it relates to the brain and human behavior versus good and evil. Very, very good movie. Worth learning it.
And if you're not speaking, can you go ahead and mute yourselves, please? If you want to respond in the group, go ahead and unmute yourself to answer.
I'll answer. When I think of AI, I just remembered today that it wasn't that long ago I had to Google it to say, what is AI? And all of a sudden, it's such an integral part. It's such an important tool in so many areas that we need to learn what we're doing with it.
Absolutely, yeah. When I first did this workshop a year ago, I remember AI always reminded me of like robots and what was that movie with Will Smith that came out a while ago? But now when I
iRobot?
first hear, yeah, iRobot. So now when I first hear AI, the first thing that comes into my mind now is of course ChatGPT because that's so common.
I have actually used AI for a few different things. Assistance with name creation because I do creative writing. Um, I also have a role playing group on the side on the weekends. I don't know if any of you know what Pathfinder is. It's a variation of D&D. And
Hmm.
so um, sometimes it's a really useful tool if you've got a block or whatnot, it can help you narrow through that. Um, in the terms of this, however, this subject in particular, I did use it to help me with my resume recently, and it can it can tailor words and phrases to something that you still want to present, but if you're too short or too long and you want to do something more specific, more streamlined, then you can use that.
Exactly, perfect. And then we've got some
Cool.
answers in the chat. When
Mm.
Leah said, when I think about AI, I think about the uses of big data and also ethical considerations around privacy, very important. Susanna said, my first thought is giant databases and computers somewhere processing it all. Barbara said, I didn't realize I use AI when I create content in Canva. Very fun. I love Canva. Isaiah said, powerful tool that is misused. Play volleyball and new tips and tricks that I can use in my current role that I'm not already aware of. Oh, awesome. You answered all three. Great.
I just wanted to respond to Holly. Holly, I play Pathfinder too, and I did not know you could use ChatGPT to help with that. So that's kind of cool to know.
Yeah, no, the it'll actually create a document and a file that you can download for the companion app if you have a signed in account with that.
Cool.
Mm. Move on.
Hi, this is Rosemary. I am the housing navigator with TriCap. Been here just a couple of months, but just wanted to share the difference in the AI from my experience. My kids are 16 years apart, so my daughter's 21 and uses AI a lot. So if we're having a conversation, if there's questions, she likes to pull it up. And then also just looking up stuff for her little brother is helpful. So yeah, it's just very interesting how many different ways that you can use this AI stuff. It's new for me. I haven't used it a whole lot, but I've heard it's got its pros and cons, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Very much pros and cons from my perspective. My own use has been very reluctant, but yeah, it's very much an ingrained part of everything that from what I've seen. So,
Right. Amanda, can you move us to the next slide?
Yep.
All right. So what is AI? We're going to dive into what the actual definition is. Artificial intelligence, also known as AI, refers to computer systems that are capable of performing complex tasks that historically only a human could do, such as reasoning, making decisions, or solving problems. At the simplest level, machine learning uses algorithms trained on data sets to create machine learning models that allow computer systems to perform tasks like making song recommendations, identifying the fastest way to travel to a destination, or translating text from one language to another. So examples, ChatGPT, probably the most commonly used one around the world, uses large language models to generate text in response to questions or comments posed to it. Google Translate uses deep learning algorithms to translate text from one language to another. Netflix uses machine learning algorithms to create personalized recommendation engines for users based on their previous viewing history. I would also add in that, Spotify, Apple Music, they do things like that as well, based on your personal preferences. And Tesla uses computer vision to power self-driving features on their cars. Why should we use AI in the job search? So, for those of you not familiar, when employers went from getting paper resumes in person to apply to a job to getting online applications, they went from getting maybe 3 to 10 paper resumes a week to getting maybe 300 applications a day. And they just didn't have the manpower to sit through and read all of them. To filter through which ones work. On top of that, now they're getting applications from all over the country, potentially even around the world, whereas they used to only get resumes from people who could physically go in person, who were local. So to be the solution to that problem, there was a software created called the Applicant Tracking System, also known as the ATS, which will scan and filter resumes and compare them to job descriptions to see which resumes had the highest match rate to a job description for that position. And so based on that, the ATS will select a certain number of resumes that have a high match rate and then move it on to the employer. So if your resume says something like, customer service skills and the job description says customer experience, you might not get a match with those two because it's not the exact same phrasing. So the best way to combat that is by utilizing AI to streamline your resume writing, because you don't want to be spending 4 hours writing a brand new resume for every single job that you're applying to. So let's see. Even down to the frequency of keywords. So if you put that you have, experience with client confidentiality one time in your resume and the job description says it 3 times, you'll get a lower score than somebody whose resume has it in there 3 times. So that is the biggest reason why we would use AI in the job search, is to help you write a resume that matches that. So you are going to need to tailor your resume to every single job that you apply to, because one job description for, let's say, an administrative assistant job position from one company will not sound or look the same as a job description for an administrative assistant position for another company. So you're going to need to tailor your resume each time you apply to a job. And so using AI is going to help you cut down your resume writing process down to 15 to 30 minutes. It literally, well, I can show you an example here in a second, but it will only take about 30 seconds to get the actual resume draft, but then you'll want to go in and edit it and make it sound your own, make it sound like a human wrote it and not a computer. Next slide. So we're only going to use it for your rough draft. You'll need to go through and edit it afterwards. You need to have your work in history and the job posting ready for the job that you want to apply to. So you also need to give AI direct instructions. So you can start with this prompt or anything similar. Act as though you are a professional resume writer and your client is applying for XYZ position. Here is the client's resume, and then you'll copy and paste it right there. And then here's the job description, and copy and paste the job description right there. Then once you get the draft, you can ask AI to narrow down or expand on certain phrases. And another prompt you could use is, please create a resume for a person with XYZ skills and experience that is looking to fill XYZ position. This can get your resume started. So this is great if you don't have a lot of work history or you are switching fields. So your work experience might not be a good match exactly for the job that you're applying to, but you have the skills. So you can create a skills-based resume and tell AI what skills you already have based on your experience, and then get that skills-based resume so that way the new resume will match the job description that you're applying for. If you already have a resume completed and you're just looking to make your resume more targeted, you could use a series of prompts to ensure your resume fits the job description and the position you are looking to fit. For example, please write a professional summary for a person with this resume, paste your resume there, that is looking to apply for this position, and then you post the job description. All right, so Amanda, could you let me share my screen?
Is it okay if we do that at the end?
Oh, okay. I thought this would be a good place to do the example. Yeah, we can do
Okay,
it.
that's fine. I just didn't want to deal with all of, like, the stop sharing and start sharing again, but we can do that if you want. Let's see here. Stop share. And then I have to give you permission. Let's see. I can't find you. Where did you go? I don't know what just happened. Let's see. Okay, you should be able to share. Let me know if you can't.
Okay, perfect. All right. Can you guys see that? Is that showing up for you guys? Yes, it should be a mostly empty Word doc.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so I start with an empty Word document. I post my prompt here. Please create a resume tailored to the following job description. I also post this here, so I just have it ready. Here's my current work experience. You can phrase that however you like. I'm going to use some examples I found online, just for confidentiality purposes. So I found a resume example for an administrative assistant. So what I'm going to do is take this, copy and paste it. I leave out personal information because we don't want AI having that. And I'm going to put this under work experience. Then I will go back to, I found an office support assistant job description. So I am going to copy this. Then paste it in my Word doc. Now I'm going to copy and paste the entire document into ChatGPT. Okay, so you can see this has taken me less than a minute to get a draft. There it is. So the professional summary, experienced administrative assistant with strong background in supporting both corporate offices and small businesses. Proven track record of reducing administrative costs, improving office workflows, and ensuring accurate payroll and data entry. Proficient in QuickBooks, Google Calendar, CRM systems, and supply management, committed to delivering excellent customer service and maintaining operational efficiency in fast-paced environments. I think that's pretty great. You can always add or take out anything that is not there that needs to be there, or sometimes ChatGPT will make up things based on the job description. They will add that you have XYZ history or experience, even if you don't have it in your resume. So you'll need to go through, first of all, and make sure that everything is actually accurate and there's no false information in there. Then you want to go through and see if something sounds a little funky. Especially since this is kind of a long resume, what I would do is go through the core skills and see where is this information duplicated. It's very likely it's duplicated throughout the summary or in one of the experience bullet points. And so you want to pare that down. You want it to be 1 to 2 pages, depending on how many years of experience you have and the level of position that you're applying to. And then add and edit these as much as possible. Once you get it, you copy and paste it into a Word document, edit it. Usually the formatting can be a little wonky, so you just need to play with that. But really you're looking at a 20 to 30 minute process here, as opposed to what usually takes me 2 to 3 hours writing one from scratch. Also, do we want to do an example of JobScan now or later?
Since you already have yours open, you can go ahead and do it now. I think that makes sense.
Awesome. So one of the examples of AI websites that I like to use is jobscan.co. It's free to sign up. There's a paid version, like a premium, where you'll have access to more ideas and suggestions. But I have not had any issues with using the free version. So what I'm gonna do is let's just pretend I have gone through and edited this to my liking. And let's say I have it already edited the way I like it. Now I want to see how does it actually compare to the job description that I used. So I'm going to go back in, copy the job description again, and JobScan will act as the ATS and it will give me a score. Now you're not going to look for a 100% score. I'm going to aim for about a 60%. And actually, the last time I went in, it didn't give me a number. It just gave low, medium, high. So, oh, there we go. 77%. That's really good. And then it will give you details. I don't know why it always says add the job's company name and address. I don't understand. Of course, I didn't add contact information for confidentiality. Everything else looked good. Date formatting, it didn't like the way that ChatGPT formatted the dates of job history. If you scroll down further, it will tell you how many times a certain word was in the job description versus how many times it was in your resume. So if you have this in your job experience and it's showing up here, you want to make sure you go back in and add that somewhere. Let's see. This is only in there once. Now, soft skills are just as important, if not more important than hard skills, depending on your job. Here we've got scheduling 3 times in the resume and the job description had it listed 4. So if you can add it one more time without it making it sound weird, then you can do that. And then when you go down here, you can upgrade your account to get more suggestions on your resume. But you got a 77% match rate here. That's pretty good. Any questions on JobScan? I know they have way more features on their paid version. They also have an AI-generated resume writer in the premium JobScan, as well as cover letter writer, and I believe they have like video practice interviews on there as well.
Marie, what's a match rate you'd recommend aiming for? Somebody asked that in the chat.
60%. You don't want to aim for a 100% because employers will think you're overqualified or that you're giving false information. So 60% or higher is good. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Okay. I think this is where we left off. Let's see.
Okay, so another way you can use AI for resumes and cover letters is to expand or elaborate on ideas, avoid oversimplified phrases. I myself have problems being very short and to the point, and I'm good at creating elaborate phrases. You can ensure all details are included in your resume and turn bland wording into polished sentences. So, example, I would say, I help customers find products. Now, that doesn't sound too resume-y, so we can put it in ChatGPT or whatever AI website you're using and say, please expand on this phrase. Helps customers find products. And then it will give you something bigger, assisted patrons in locating desired merchandise, providing personalized recommendations, and enhancing their shopping experience. Now you can take that and say, simplify this, because that kind of seems a little bit long to me. Or you can just pick and choose which parts of the phrase you like best. So I enjoy it for that feature, especially because I'm a very short and direct and to the point person. And I think this is you.
Okay. For a cover letter, create your cover letter and cater it to the position you are applying for. Then prompt ChatGPT by saying, please rate the following cover letter for an X role based on how clearly my skills and passion align with the role and suggest specific ideas on how to improve it. So being very specific with ChatGPT is really helpful because the more that you give it leeway, the more that it just kind of starts throwing random stuff and makes things up. So it's good to just be as specific as possible when you're playing with ChatGPT for really any reason, but especially job search stuff. Um, you can
I have
also
another
use
question.
ChatGPT to create multiple versions of your, oh, yes.
So my question is, does ChatGPT use previous information from your ChatGPT account to answer those questions independently, or do we have to give it specific prompts?
You can
So
continue one thread. Sorry, Amanda. So if you have an account that you're logged into on ChatGPT, and you can start a new, I think they call them conversations, and you can go back to your older conversations and then continue based off of previous things. So if I logged into mine, I can go into my resume and then I won't have to restart the whole prompt all over again. I can just say, add this or make it like this. But if you wanted to start a new one, you could.
yeah,
Fabulous,
and
thank you.
also just to add to that, in my experience, I use the paid version and the non-paid version. So for work, I usually use the non-paid version, and for my personal stuff, I use the paid version. The difference is that the paid version has a lot bigger memory, so it can pull from all of your other conversations, and it just remembers a lot more stuff. If you're using the non-paid version, it can access the amount of memory it has for the free version, which I think is it's just limited. So you can actually go in and see like what it remembers. And in order to remember more, you have to pay for it. Um, and it also in the paid version, it can access past conversations. So if you've already like had a cover letter or resume conversation going and you started a new chat, you could say, can you access the cover letter and resume chat we had before and use that information to assist in making this current new resume or cover letter. But in the non-paid version, you can't do that because it can't access other conversations that you've had. So those are the kind of the differences between the paid and the non-paid ones.
Thank
Um,
you.
okay, so you can use ChatGPT to create multiple versions of your cover letter. So like rewrite the following cover letter to focus on a certain employer. And just like with the resume, of course, like with cover letters especially, you want to use a different one for each job. So using ChatGPT for this is great because you can even take your resume and maybe a previous cover letter and just say, could you cater a cover letter to this employer and this job description? So kind of similar to a resume, you still want to have like some information about the company, the job description, your resume that's already catered to the position, and then maybe a previous cover letter. But I don't think the previous cover letter is absolutely necessary, but maybe just helpful for um, what you've written before. So there are a ton of sites to use, and I actually, for those of you that put your email in the chat, I'm going to send you this too. I just created a document earlier today that had some updates for 2025. So there's some new AI for job search sites that, as well as the ones we have here. And there's also some of them that have been updated with some new tech and some different options. So I created a separate document for that I can send to anybody that wants. Just put your email in the chat. So we have ChatGPT, which we've been talking about. We have OpenAI, we have Bard AI, we have JobScan, which Marie talked about. We have Kick Resume, we have Google Interview Warmup, Resume Worded, Loop CV, WordTune, CoverDoc AI, and CareerFlow AI. So I'm just going to talk about a few of these that I've actually like looked into. So Loop CV is the reason why it's CV is because I think it's a UK-based company, and they call resumes a CV. So you can auto apply to jobs using this. So you can like put in your information and it will start auto applying to positions that match what you've put into this. It allows for a one-click apply. So you just click on apply and it will just do everything for you. You can organize your search, and then it will also send automatic emails to recruiters. And then I think it helps with resume improvements too, which I haven't tried that part of it, which is why I said I think. Um, but yeah, I think the coolest part about this, the thing that I love about it the most is that applying to jobs literally can be your full-time job. It's a lot of work. It's just constantly changing things up. And all of the things that we're sharing with you today is to try to make that easier and more concise. And so this app or this software, it just makes it even easier. Granted, like I don't know how perfect it is. I did try a test run with it because there's like a free option where you can have one field that you're applying for. And so I tried it out and it actually worked pretty well. But I didn't get any interviews from it. So so it's kind of like, is it working for me or not? I'm not sure. And would a paid version be better? Again, I don't know, but that's kind of what my experience was personally. WordTune. So it improves your vocabulary choices, enhancing the quality of your writing. It clarifies your message, making it easier for writers to understand. It saves time on editing, allowing you to focus more on content than on form. It supports both informal and formal tones, catering to different writing needs. Offers rewriting suggestions to freshen up your content. Facilitates better sentence structure and clarity. Includes basic spelling and grammar correction features. So this one I put in here just because it's a good way to play with your resume or your cover letter, see what kind of tone is coming across. Like if you want it to be more professional or more fun, you can change it up that way. Also, if you're a writer outside of resumes and cover letters and things like that, it's fun to play with it in that way too. Kick Resume. So it's an AI resume checker and an AI cover letter writer. And I think it checks cover letters as well. Google Interview Warm-Up is one of my absolute favorites. I love it because it sets you up as if you're going to be at an actual interview and you go through, you practice key questions and you can pick from a list of different industries. So if you have a specific industry you will be applying for, you can pick that industry or you can choose general. So just like a general interview. And then you go through the entire interview with this AI, and then afterwards it gives you insights and advice on all of your answers. And then it just helps you get more comfortable with interviewing. So you can just go at it over and over again as many times as you want and get more and more comfortable on it and get advice. All right. Resume Worded, designed by top recruiters, gives you advice on and pointers on your resume, what tone is coming across, and what words are overused. So another resume AI that you can utilize. So there's a lot of these kinds of AIs out there. So it kind of depends on which one makes the most sense for you and which one feels the best. So you can just play around with these, write down the ones that are kind of resonating with you, and then just go in and say, okay, like I want to see what this one does and see if it fits for you, if you want to try a different one. CoverDoc AI, it's a website that generates cover letters for you. So you just fill out the job description, the position, title, and link the company website, and it will write the cover letter for you. Says ability to choose level of creativity that AI writing uses and the style of the writing. And again, with all of these, no matter what AI creates for you, you want to make sure that you go and make sure that it still sounds like you and it's in your voice. Because a lot of times these computerized or AI created things can be like repetitive, kind of say the same things over and over. And so you just want to kind of go in and tweak it and make it more you, maybe even make it more professional. You can also add more prompts. Like if you're doing ChatGPT, you can go in and say, can you please take out the repetitive phrases, things like that, and it can actually like readjust. So you can just kind of continue to prompt it to fix it for you, or you can fix it yourself either way.
Amanda,
Career
we have a
flow.
question.
Oh, sure.
Sorry. So Sarah is asking, what's the difference between a cover letter and a resume? Her cover letter tends to mirror her resume. Is that correct?
So resumes are what most companies will absolutely need you to have. They'll almost always ask you for a resume, which is like, I mean, you know what a resume is. A cover letter, the difference is that in the cover letter, you're just kind of you're talking specifically to the company about why you're a good fit and what skills you have that match the job description and what they're asking for and why you fit with that company. And it allows you to kind of tell your story, whereas the resume is just kind of bullet points. It's like, this is what, this is my this is what I want to do for a job. This is my experience. This is what I did at each job. It's kind of just like an itemized list of what you've done for your different positions. So the cover letter allows you to tell that story. Marie, do you have any other ideas on that?
Yeah, the cover letter, it gives you the ability to give an example that you may not have been able to put in your resume. A lot of times this can include volunteer work, things that you have done between jobs, um, personal experiences that don't make sense to put on a resume or expand on any of the bullet points that you have on your resume, um, to just kind of highlight your specific experience and skill, and again to say why you're a good fit for that specific company. So as with all job applications that you do, you really want to do a little research on the company to see what are their values, what's their mission statement, and that will help you guide your cover letter as well. I hope that makes sense. Holly said, I find that a cover letter has become a lot like a summary, but the summary is a much more condensed version of selling yourself, true or false. I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that.
with the cover letter, you can give a specific example of a time in your life when you accomplished something that's bigger than just, a bullet point or a simple sentence.
Okay. So, any other questions before I keep going?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Uh, we went through this thing though so fast. Do we get a copy of this thing so that we can review later on?
Copy of the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I mean the AI stuff, that we are learning right now.
Yeah, you can, if you put your email in the chat, I can send a copy of the PowerPoint. I'm also sending out a copy of the recording to anybody that puts their email in the chat. So,
All right,
okay.
thanks.
All right. This is Career Flow AI. It automates job tracking. It optimizes your LinkedIn profile. AI generated cover letters, practice mock interviews, and scores your LinkedIn profile and gives suggestions. So are you just starting out? Are you brand new to figuring out what you want to do, or are you switching careers? Um, this is something to play with, even if you aren't just starting out or switching careers, but you can ask ChatGPT to generate 10 specific job titles that could be a great fit based on favorite skills, interests, your college major, or your resume. And then you can ask ChatGPT to tell you about a typical day in the job titles that interest you the most. And if you're still stuck, you can ask ChatGPT to rank these jobs, insert the titles based on your career goals, insert your career goals, and qualifications, insert skills and credentials. So these are just a couple of ways that you can play with ChatGPT if you're in transition or just starting out. Other useful ways to use AI during your job search, you can ask AI questions that would commonly be asked at interviews for that position. So you can do, like I mentioned, that Google interview is my favorite, but you can also do this with ChatGPT. Um, ask for examples of good answers, and then ask for common pay for that position in your area to help with pay negotiation. One thing I just want to point out quick here is that if you get a bunch of good answers um, for like a interview, I had a client who came to me and she had all of these AI answers printed out. And as she was reading them out loud to me, because we were practicing, she was like, but that doesn't sound like me. And she kept saying, that doesn't sound like me. That's not me. And I was like, okay, so that's kind of like a hint to everyone that like if you get some answers from AI, that's great. But then just make sure that you go through and like make it your own. Like make sure it sounds like something you would say and take out any words that are maybe words you don't even know what they mean or they're, whatever. Just make it your own and make sure it sounds like you. Because I think that makes us unsure of ourselves. And at interviews, we're often already nervous. So, like, just coming up with answers that make sense to you and thus reviewing them so that you have them in your head ready to go. How not to use AI. Don't rely solely on AI job search tools. Remember to network and build relationships. That's really important. Don't forget to personalize your application. Make it sound like it's from you, not from a computer. Don't forget to highlight your soft skills. AI may focus on technical skills and metrics, but can't measure soft skills like communication, collaboration, and problem-solving skills. And don't forget your well-being. Job search is stressful. Be sure to take breaks and prioritize self-care. So do we have any other questions about anything that we've shared?
There was a question in the chat that said, can AI give you information about the company you're applying with instead of looking it up on Google?
I would say you probably could have AI look it up, but I don't know if I would trust it just because there have been times where it's looked up things online and they haven't been completely accurate because there's just so much information on the web. And so you probably could get like accurate information about a company by putting it into ChatGPT, but I honestly would just double check it.
Yeah, so when you're searching about a company or if you're searching about anything online using ChatGPT or AI, what it's going to do is it's going to be essentially crowdsourcing the internet for information on that company. And so it could find answers on Reddit, Glassdoor, people's own opinions on it that may or may not be accurate, or people could be making things up, and then it will give you that information as a fact, even though it may or may not be. Any other questions?
So I guess going back to the cover letter and AI and how do you know how to stop revising your cover letter through AI, through Chat GPT? Yes, you can let it help you tailor your cover letter, but I find myself sometimes going through Chat GPT like 3 or 4 times so that my cover letter sounds professional or to the point.
So you want to know, when do I stop editing? Is that your question?
Yes.
I would say probably a combination of either using, JobScan or one of those where you can enter in your cover letter, one of your drafts, and then see what kind of score it gives you. And also just networking and seeing if there's anybody you know personally. I love to get feedback from my personal friends because I know they'll tell me the truth. See how it sounds, see if there's anybody willing to give you any feedback or edit suggestions. That would be my go-to for myself.
Um, oh, thank you for saying that, Isaiah. I agree. ONET is a really good website for labor market information. That's exactly what I was going to suggest as well. Allison had asked, how accurate is the salary information you receive from AI? Is there one program that does a better job at salaries than others? And Isaiah suggested ONET as a good website for labor market information. And I agree. It's just a better way. They actually like look into all the markers, and you're not going to get any weird information like Marie said from Reddit or whatever else.
Another good one is on Minnesota's Deed website. I will copy and paste it here, but they have the Career and Education Explorer. I'm sure you could just Google MND Career and Education Explorer if you don't have access to this link or you misplace it. And you can explore careers by keyword, type in the career, and it will show you what type of education you need to get that, what are some common salaries, and what the labor demand is in the state, in the Twin Cities. So I love using Deed's website for that. Isaiah, you had a question?
Yeah, thanks for giving this presentation. One question I had is with utilizing ChatGPT or other Gen AI for resumes, something I've noticed is, and something you already mentioned, is consistency in language that's used. Are there any useful prompts that you've all used to kind of filter those things out? Just by virtue of having utilized ChatGPT in the past for resumes, one of them that I continue to see is like adjective and adjective professional with dot dot dot. And you see it all the time, every time. So it immediately becomes clear that it's Gen AI. And so I'm usually telling ChatGPT, please don't use this phrasing. Also, don't use buzzwords like XYZ that you would typically use. Are there any suggestions that you will have for prompts for something like that?
I kind of feel like what you just mentioned is really good. I haven't specifically like tried using those kinds of prompts. Marie, have you?
I have not. Those are usually edits that I just make manually after I've gotten the draft, and then I go through and I'm like, here it sounds like a robot wrote this, so I'm just going to try my best, even though I'm not great with words, try and reword it a little bit. So I don't unfortunately have a prompt that will help with that.
So I actually did this fairly recently when I was tailoring my own resume, and I have a particularly interesting history that I'm not going to get into. Um, but it requires that I'm very careful with how I craft my presentation of myself. And so AI will generate the bare bones and the basics of something, and then I'll take something that sounds kind of like what I want, and I'll copy paste that back into the chat, and then I'll give it a more specific instruction, like I would like this to sound um, more professional, but with simpler words, something like that.
Yeah, and I also think that like you said before, to plug into Chat GPT, take out repetition, or I've used eliminate redundancy, and that helps me to copy paste into Word, and it looks better. Also, I'm just wondering about the formatting. So does the bot that goes through the resumes, does it take into account formatting?
Like the
Are you referring
ATS?
to?
Well, when you copy paste the resume into a Word document, generally when I do a resume by myself, I put in like a heading, and I have very specific formatting,
Yeah,
like an indent of 1 inch, and then another
I'm
indent
on mute
of an
and
inch and a
everything.
half. So I'm sorry, what? So I'm just wondering if the formatting can mess up the bots, or if it works in your favor to personalize your formatting. Does it matter? Does formatting matter?
Yes, you'll have to go in after you get the draft from ChatGPT. I'm not sure if other resume specific AI are better at this, but generally, once you copy and paste into a Word document, the formatting is pretty wonky. So I usually go in and I just edit every line by line to make it neat. That's another thing, that if your formatting is messed up, the ATS will not receive it well. And so that's why I always recommend, apply on company websites, because when you apply on sites like Indeed, even if you have great formatting, Indeed will mess up your formatting, and then the ATS won't really understand what's what, and it'll kind of jumble your information. So, um,
Okay, that's fabulous. And then just in case people don't know, this is something that I learned a while ago. If you go up into the ribbon for Microsoft, there is a formatting tab, and there it's custom. So you can, use heading 1 for your title and heading 2 for the subtitles. So that's already built in for you. So try and use that if you don't.
Thank you. The other
you.
thing I was going to say, going back to a previous question about prompts, what kind of prompts to use to make it sound less like a robot wrote it. When I don't know what prompt to use, but I don't like the way something sounds, like it just sounds wrong to me, I will just go in, copy and paste that specific phrase and say, please reword this. Because sometimes I don't know, am I looking for more professional? I don't know if it just sounds a little off. So I'll just keep saying, please reword this until it comes up with something that sounds better to me.
Fabulous. And I do have a question about prompts as well. How do you craft a prompt, a good prompt? I've seen ChatGPT just give me, 3 very specific adjectives that describe me. I've also had it describe me in a paragraph as a prompt. What should a prompt look like?
I think it depends on, are you looking for a whole resume? Are you looking for, tell it what you're looking for. Are you looking for a professional summary for a resume? Are you looking for 3 bullet points? So you can start with how long you want it, what's the purpose of it. And so going back to one of the first slides, I think it mentioned that you can say, act as a professional resume writer for a client. Your client is looking for XYZ job. Please write a resume based on this job description and this job history. So the AI knows that it's going to be writing an entire resume. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and of course I have another one. So when when you're taking the job itself and you're pasting that into ChatGPT to make the ChatGPT format it to fit the job, can the employers go back and see if their description has been matched verbatim through ChatGPT, and how would that look for your application itself?
I have heard that there is something that some employers are using to screen whether a resume has been written by AI or not. So I will tell this fun story. I had a client who was applying for a paid internship, and she had been out of the workforce for, over 10 years. So I taught her how to use ChatGPT and JobScan to write her resume. But I was really driving it home that you have to edit it afterwards. She ended up getting the paid internship, and her employer told her, there were so many other people who were qualified, but we didn't pick them. We picked you because all the other resumes were written by ChatGPT. And she was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's nice. But she edited it well enough after the fact that they couldn't tell. So that's why we say, use that as your draft and then edit it as much as you can, because I'm not sure if there's a software that some employers are using or if they can just tell based on, experience what sounds like AI or not.
Yeah,
It's
and
always
and
a big mistake
I
and
had
stuff.
a yeah, I had a moral dilemma when I started using ChatGPT. And I expressed that to an employment counselor. And what she said really struck me. She said that everyone else is using it, and why shouldn't I? So that'll
Yeah.
help with the moral side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's just it is what it is. It is our future, whether we like it or not. So, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all
All
your
right.
questions and feedback, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I'm gonna stop recording now here.